everyone. Welcome back to the Genetic Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lulu. And on this week's episode, Melissa Ruiz discusses how to become a leader and cosmic badass in 2023 by breaking through and alchemizing our limiting beliefs. Melissa is the founder and visionary of Melissa Ruiz Empowerment, a soulful business coaching powerhouse that mentors mystical offbeat entrepreneurs to start and scale their business through a spiritually universal lens. Through her coaching programs, she empowers spiritual entrepreneurs to step into their leadership and pour their knowledge back into their own networks. With a large focus on the BIPOC and LGBTQ plus communities, she is also a local New Yorker and soon to be a hashtag van life digital nomad. You'll usually find her manifesting it up in her spiritual vortex lab, doing a vinyasa yoga flow, or hiking somewhere in the woods with her wife. Featured in Forbes, Life and Style, and on Good Morning America, she has now scaled her coaching business to 7 figures in less than 3 years through applying yoga philosophy, soulful methodologies, in her coaching business. I'm so thrilled to have my wonderful guest today, Melissa Ruiz. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to see how this conversation unfolds and for us to just, kick it.
Yay, me too. Welcome. But before we dive deep into talking about how you can become your own cosmic badass for 2023, let's first talk about you. How did you get to where you are today so the audience can get to know you a little bit better and we can lay some of that ground rules for how amazing you are?
Oh, thank you. This question is so loaded because there's one aspect that's like the business, and that one is linked more to the strategy. And I'll share a little bit on what I did specifically to hit 7 figures and all of those monetary things that I love to share. But the most important thing that I did to get here was I worked on myself a fuck ton. Okay. That was worked on myself as if my life depended on it. And in many ways, when I look back at that time, my life really did depend on it. So on the outside, I was a very successful TV producer. I was selling $1 million shows in New York City. I went to school for film. I went to school for TV broadcasting and radio. One of my very first jobs was at MTV, and that was exciting. I worked at TRL and get to meet a lot of different celebrities, but I found myself in a position where I feel like a lot of people are now sharing this story of I actually wasn't happy, whether it was in my job, whether it was in my first marriage. Like, I remember this moment where I had to just have this like a come to Jesus conversation with myself. And I had to tell myself to stop faking it. And I think nobody had ever taught me how to be real with myself. I was always taught to push beyond and to keep going. And in many ways, like, fuck my feelings, just get to the end goal. Suffer, you got to get there. And yeah, there was this moment where a lot of those things fell apart. I ended up getting a divorce. I ended up traveling to Morocco. I ended up becoming a yoga teacher. I came back. I was broke as shit, but I was so rich. Like, I truly took the opportunity to get to know myself better. And I laugh sometimes because I started to think about the fact that I was 30 something and I really knew very little about myself. It was kind of really weird. I was like, you actually really don't know who the hell you are. Like, this is kind of strange. And so I took that opportunity to get to know myself, my triggers, what I liked, what I didn't like. I learned how to say no.
Big one.
I learned how to say no. I was such a yes person. I was like, yes, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll lend you money. Yeah. And I always found myself doing things that I didn't want to. And I couldn't quite figure out, like, what is that? Why do I keep saying yes to 1,000 plans, but then canceling all of them 10 minutes before I'm supposed to be there? What is that trauma? And so I oftentimes say I was like pet detective to my own self. I just was trying to figure out who I was, and that's how it started. That's how it started for me internally. So it was an internal process for me. And the more I got to know myself, the more I made better decisions. I became vegan. It's been like about it's been about 6 years. I gave up alcohol about 5 years ago. And I just want to say that you don't have to do that. That's not like the key to get to anywhere. It was just the steps that I took in
Mm.
order for me to hear myself better. I was very disconnected from my intuition. So that's why I didn't know right from left. And so when I started to strip away all of these things, in many ways, it cleared my channel, which by the way, we can all channel. And when I say channel, and like we can all open ourselves up to get cosmic divine guidance. But the question is, are your channels clogged the fuck up?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, Melissa. I really relate to that story myself. I went through that same journey, not exactly the same, but the same journey of the turmoil of I was living in New York and it was like chewed me up and spit me out. And I moved to this yoga retreat center and I became a yoga teacher. It's funny, that same kind of scenario. And it was similar too. It's like I felt like I almost had been living someone else's dream. Like I like this kind of like foggy world. And then I was like, oh wait, I took the wrong pill. I better back up and take the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so crazy how that happens. It's okay. That's part of the awakening process, which by the way, when people say I got on the spiritual journey, it's like we're all on the journey. Like you can't get off of the journey. Like we're all on the path. We're all on the path of realization and becoming more. And matter of fact, I want to take that back because there is no becoming. Like we are already everything. We are already that which we seek. It's about, I often use this analogy of turning on the light. It's
Mm.
about us turning on the lights within us so that we can see all of the things that we haven't yet seen. And yeah, it's part of the awakening process that oftentimes feels like, for me, I was asleep at the wheel. I'm like, I don't know that version of me anymore. Like that person that thought like that person who just made those decisions. And yeah, it was so crazy, but that was my path and that's what had to happen. And life, oftentimes when we don't become a student, when we don't become the student of life, the student of the universe, the student of the elements, the student of our spirit, life will oftentimes body slam you into submission and it will get your attention by taking those really important things. So let's just say it's money, you're going to be broke. And that's not to say for anybody who's listening to be afraid. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to move from fear. My whole goal is that I continue to share the message of what happens when we connect to our intuition. What
Mm.
happens when we let go of the facade of security, which oftentimes comes in the form of money and status and career and being married. When I think back, what was all of that? And that's what it was. It was
Mhm.
really this false fire, this false sense of security that I didn't internally have. Had I had that, maybe those things could have worked out, but everything landed the way it was supposed to land because my soul needed to expand. And so that was my first lesson. And it's so crazy because I never planned to be an online mentor, even be online. To me, that's just sounds really crazy to me because I had a private account. I never posted anything. And I had about 200 or 300 friends, which were like my 56 cousins. And so, yeah, it's really interesting to see myself fast forward now, 3.5 years
Mm.
later, and being like a full blown 7-figure entrepreneur and helping hundreds of humans continue to step in and activate their full potential. So it's kind of
Mm.
crazy.
Yeah, I love it. And we never know what's going to unfold in front of us. It can be so many different paths, especially as you're talking about really like when we're on that spiritual journey, like we're all on, if we're open to each like step being a different one, we can have thousands of doors open at any moment in time and lead us onto, oh, wow, I never thought I'd be doing that moment.
Wow. Yeah, it's so crazy. But
Totally.
so fun too. That's the whole point, that we
Mm.
continue to be open to the unknown and continue to allow ourselves to take one step in front of the other, which again, if you're listening to this and you're like, how do I get there? It takes practice, recognize that we just haven't been taught these things of trusting ourselves. We've been taught more of the you need to know and you need to have a plan and what's going to happen after this point. And we're taught a lot of scarcity tactics of life. Very much have been bullied into different careers in different ways that we think is a successful relationship or a successful way of living life. Now I'm living literally in a van, and if you would have told me that 5 or 6 years ago, I would have been like, I don't want to fucking do that. That seems
You're
terrible.
like, no way. Oh, I love it. And we're going to talk more about that and your fun experience, which is so exciting. And when it comes to, when it comes to abundance, Melissa, and what about the abundance of health? Why do you think that piece is so important and with the alignment of like our soul purpose? Because we can't have the abundance and the wealth without addressing the health piece, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think the two are very linked because I once heard that when you're on your hospital bed and you feel sick, the most important part is for you to feel and be well. And when you are well, the most important part when you feel good and you're healthy is to up your financial abundance. And when you have financial abundance, the next thing for us to feel continuously complete is to work on our emotional and mental health. And so all of these pieces, it's not that one is better than the other, it's that they all work together. All important. Have we not seen what has happened to celebrities when they don't take care of their mental health? They have all of the money. And so we have started to see that money isn't just everything. And also our health is, yes, everything. But when we have the abundance from the inside out, we can get a lot further. And I believe that there are so many beautiful people on this planet with so many gifts. And when you have money, when you have a means to put it together and to share with people, that impacts and that becomes the ripple effect in this entire world. It's not just about go ahead and build a business and make money. It's about, but what do you get to do with that? I don't know about you, but for me, you know what I did? I invested $50,000 that my business made to create the first entrepreneurial wellness event for BIPOC entrepreneurs who are also part of the LGBTQ community. That's what we get to do. We get to think outside of the box. We get to continuously pour back into our communities. And I think oftentimes people really get this mixed up. They think that people who are online are money hungry or they just want to make money to just make money and have an online businesses. I actually find that most people that I know, they have huge hearts, they're healers, they're innovators, they have a message to share. They're first in their industry, meaning they're doing something completely new. I really want to be a part of that conversation. Like, that's exciting to me.
So exciting. And I love that you brought that up too. I think the innovator part is a really key aspect of not only the abundance of being the entrepreneur, but with health. Like, how are you going to try new things like in your life really to make a difference? How are you going to make a difference in the health and the community around you? And when we thrive ourselves, like you said, everyone around us then is able to survive and thrive in this whole new way. We've really seen that, I think, happen over the past couple of years of the pandemic, right? We've seen everything get thrown up in the air and mixed around, spit back out. And we've seen how when community comes together in a new way, we can it just shifts and changes. We're still seeing I think the after effects of that for years to come.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't really given this part as much credit, but I really want to take this opportunity to share that I would not be able to access the information and the things that I have been exploring within myself had it not been for taking care of my wellness and prioritizing my health and finally not smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol. And those are just the exterior things, but it goes way beyond that, right? It goes about, I really want to talk about not just positive thinking, but also about what it looks like when we entertain negative thoughts, what it looks like when we have toxic people around us. Like all of that is part of our well-being, part of our wellness. And when you start giving a shit about how you feel, it directly impacts everything. I couldn't do what I'm doing now if I didn't do all of those steps, if I didn't take care of myself. And so when I say that I worked on myself as if my life really depended on it, I really did, because I didn't feel good. I looked good from the outside because we can decorate ourselves.
Exactly.
But truly didn't feel good. And so it was an internal problem that I had to fix. And it was linked directly to the foods that I was eating, what was happening in between my two ears, what I was holding on to in my heart, all the scarcity in my belly. Like, it was actually in my body. It was in my body, it was in my bones, it was in my water, it was in the trauma that was passed down to me, and the trauma that I experienced in this lifetime. All of that had to bubble up and come to the surface. And now I'm not saying that I cleared and healed all of them, because I don't think anybody ever does. I think we learn to work with ourselves, and we learn to have a really good bounce back game. And so the things that used to really take me under, I mean, for a whole day, a whole week, a whole month, they don't live a long time anymore.
Right.
I really am able to just grab a hold of them faster and work with myself and be more compassionate. And I have tools to really get myself out of there. And so I always think of this like spiraling image. I grew up with a parent who really struggled with their mental health and really struggled with depression and anxiety, postpartum. And so I really got a close look at what it did to someone's state of mind, what it did to their body. And I remember always growing up as a child feeling my goal is to be happy because I know this person is not happy. And I always had that like dangling carrot over me in knowing the effects of mental health and how we don't see it, but somebody really feels it. And it's important for me to share that whatever somebody feels is real, because
Right.
your thoughts, whether they're happening to someone else or not, it's happening to that person. And so they perceive those thoughts as real, and their body perceives it as real. And so it really does become something that impacts people's lives. And yeah, mental health and working with my wellness has been such a game changer.
Yeah, so important. I love that you brought up those pieces about one, the hereditary piece, which we're going to talk about too, is one a great segue to one of my next questions for you. And I really like too that you brought about that mental health piece of wellness. And I think we're really seeing it's almost like it's being exposed in a different way now, where we're able to talk about mental health in a different way. But it used to be this kind of like thing that we would put in the closet. Oh, don't talk about that. If you're depressed, you just deal with it. Take some kind of whatever you're taking, prescription or something. And now we're able to be like, okay, this isn't really a part of you. It is, but how can we help move through that mental health condition or experience into this new state and with recognition about the mental health? And like, maybe you have anxiety, or maybe you have depression, or maybe whatever it is, it's just a state of mind, a state of being. I'm not demoralizing mental health,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that it is a way for us to, it's like almost like it's the recognition piece that I found myself, and I do find really valuable as a piece of my health. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit down today. Why is that? Or maybe I had a loss in my family. How am I going to process it? How am I going to be vulnerable with that grief in a way to allow me to move through that mental health piece? And then it allows other people to recognize it too. And of course, I work with a lot of patients with mental health and PTSD. And I find that when they're allowed to tell their story, that's one piece that really helps them, because they've been, it's like they lock it up inside them with this key that they throw off a cliff. I'm never going to talk about my story. Not that they wear it as a badge. There's a difference than that piece. And so I'm really glad that you brought that up. And with your history, like generational DNA with the aspect of abundance, can you talk about that? How did you, or have you had that piece come through your own DNA line? And how did you transform from where you are now?
Yeah, this is my favorite question.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I love talking about the fact that I grew up poor. And I want to share this story because oftentimes we're not considering a poor money mindset. And so you may grow up with wealth and you may grow up with parents who seemingly have money to give you, and you can still adopt this kind of struggle boss, poor money mindset. However, I grew up in a household of four. Both my parents were immigrants to this country, so they didn't speak the language. Actually, Spanish is my first language. I learned
Mm.
English in school when I was 5 years old. And so I just saw them struggle, and they did have that like immigrant mindset, like there's not enough and you got to
Mhm.
hustle and work hard. And like they really gave me this mindset that I was brown and now I was queer and I had all these strikes against me, and that I had to outwork and outperform everybody else just to even be noticed. Forget about being equal. And so, whether that's right or wrong or true or not, those are the beliefs that I had adopted during that time, which ended up spiraling into many things. Overachiever. I was a TV producer, a WNBA cheerleader, a dancer. I had just done so many things in my life that when I look back, I was like, whoa, shit. Like, one, you were busy, and two, like, what was that? And it was that part of me that almost didn't let myself rest,
Mm.
because rest was lazy. Rest was not good enough. Rest was people are going to get ahead of you. Rest was dangerous. Rest was not something that was encouraged. It was actually really looked down on. It was like,
Mhm.
what are you doing? You could be doing something. You could be cleaning. You could be doing this. You could be doing that. You can get better grades. And so all of this stuff started happening. And we grew up with not enough. And so I always had that mindset. I ended up going to college. I was actually the second person to go to college in my family. My older sister was the first person. She ended up becoming a social worker with her master's degree. I was the second. My little sister is the third. She has a finance degree. And I share this to say because there was a point in my career where I was making money. I was making multiple six figures as a TV producer, but I still felt poor. I still felt like I didn't have enough. And that's what I say, this like poverty money mindset. And so I had to work very hard to alchemize this story within my body. It wasn't until I actually started to build my business and do a lot of the work that I was called to do, which was internal work, that I actually realized, like, holy freak, this has been with me for a really long time. And now here's my opportunity to heal it. How
Mm.
did I heal it? It took a while. It
It
wasn't a
wasn't like a like overnight boom.
it wasn't a course that I took. It wasn't a coach that I worked with. It was actually in solitude. It was through the practice of yoga, it was through the practice of meditation, deep meditation, that I started to realize, which now a lot of people coin in IFS as the managers and these parts of us that were in exile. I started to realize, oh, I'm not just like Melissa the human. Like, I'm Melissa who has also a lot of parts. Like,
Mm.
I have many different aspects to my being, and some aspects are in trauma still, and some aspects are learning to overwork and being the managers of my body. And so through meditation, nothing anybody taught me, I just, my own body intuition showed me how to go in, reparent a lot of these parts of myself. And there were a lot of those money parts. There was a lot of those unworthiness parts. There was a lot of money only belongs to those people. And through deep meditation and being astral projected and being able to see different forms of reality, I realized that money actually really doesn't exist. The frequency of money is very much linked to the frequency of prosperity and abundance. And this is why I love to use that word abundance. But even if you take that a step further, we're really talking about the energy of love. We're
Mhm.
really talking about the energy of being able to be open and receptive. We're really talking about the ability to give and receive, right? And this
Mhm.
is why people who sometimes are unlovable, they're not able to actually receive the love. And it's because they
Exactly.
actually aren't able to give themselves the love. And so they end up
Right.
off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. So powerful, because I think it's very relatable that a lot of people will, whether not, they don't know how to, what's a good way to describe it? the piece about moving through the past where you have it in your money. I call it like the money family tree, the abundance family tree, right? Where how are you going to recognize what's in the family tree? Is it part of you? Is it not part of you? How are you going to move forward? What's your relationship with the abundance? What are you carrying through? What were you, like you talked about the beliefs, like what were those beliefs that you were taught? And so are you aware of them now and everything that you do with your relationship with money and abundance, right? And whether that's with health, abundance comes in so many different forms. And health is a really great one when it comes to recognizing how are your parents, how are your grandparents' health, how are their grandparents' health. And we're seeing now that a lot of that DNA comes from 6 to 9 generations back. And some people don't even know that part of their family timeline, right? Some people do, and then others is like vague. Like for me, my family is vague. So we know where we came from. And other generations we don't. So I really like that you brought those pieces up about recognizing that part of your family heritage when it comes to money. And then how are you going to move through it? And for me as well, meditation has been like one of, I think, the biggest keys for shifting my reality and daily meditation practice. And I spent a long time living at a yoga retreat center where I was like meditating for hours a day. And not that I'm recommending that in this moment in time, because a lot of people are really busy, and 3 hours of meditation, I still have time for it. I don't do that anymore. I'm able to get into the state much easier. But in the beginning, when you don't know how to meditate, it can be challenging. Oh my gosh, every thought moving through the brain at every moment.
Yeah. Um, beyond having the awareness of our lineage, what has been passed down to us, one of the things that has been super helpful for me is to connect to the quantum self. I always see humans as two parts. It's like we have our human earthly density part, which is like our earth body, and it has its limitations, right? We have a brain, we have a heart. Things are only going to work as much as we take care of them, and also the hereditary part. But there is another aspect to our being, which I call the quantum being, right? It's the part that is connected to the cosmos, is the part that's connected to the totality of the universe, is the part that's connected to magic, is the part that we connect to when we pray, it's the part that we connect to when we set our intentions. It's that greater, grander part of us. It's the mystery. It's the whispers of the universe. And again, if nobody has taught you this, then we are disconnected from that, which oftentimes leads into that burnout and that overuse of that masculine energy and the need to do instead of be, right? So I've been practicing being human instead of doing human, because I did human for a long time and it really didn't work out and pan out. And the reason why I bring up the quantum being is because at a certain point, we also have to realize that we can be and become whoever we desire. And the reason why is because when you focus on your thoughts, like we were saying at the beginning of this podcast, your body doesn't know the difference. And so if you keep telling yourself you're the shit, your body's gonna believe this person's the shit. They can do anything magical. But if you keep telling yourself, I'm not shit, that's how you're going to treat yourself. You're not going to be able to do it. And so when I started to discover that part of myself, I started to work with that aspect, and I started to realize, no, I can become rich. I am rich. If I believe that I am deserving and that I am worthy and that I get to be the first person from my family, my lineage, my 9 generations to become the first millionaire, then it's going to happen. And it did happen.
Yay.
And so there is no specific one thing that you do. It's about us continuously being open to the magic and practicing it. A good teacher of mine always tells me, I practice yoga with him, and he says, don't believe me, go out and try it.
Exactly.
And I really like this. I really like this notion of don't believe me just because I'm telling you, because your body's not going to have recognition of that truth. It's like me trying to explain van life to you. It's like me trying to tell you this is the best thing ever. It's like me trying to tell you, like, oh my God, go to Bali. It's the most amazing, beautiful, magical place ever. But it's not until you go to Bali that you actually realize, oh my God, this is what I've been missing. So that experience, and this is why we also need contrast. This is why we also need opposition. One thing that I want to share with people, and I don't really know why I'm sharing this, is this expectation that we have to be happy. Stop expecting yourself to be happy 24/7. Like, this is like, even listen to that statement. It sounds
Mm,
ridiculous. We're not, if we were only supposed to be happy 24/7, we would only have that one happy emotion. But that's not the whole point. Point
mm,
of being a human is that we get to experience. And the way we get to experience is by having firsthand being able to do and have different emotions. I love when Abraham Hicks says, when you know what you don't want, you know what you do.
exactly. I love
That just
that.
that just sums it all up, right? So it's like, of
Yes.
course you will have hard emotions. Of course you will feel sadness. You will feel grief. You will feel all of the things that our human existence is built for us to experience, because it's through those experiences that we start to learn more of who we are. That's why we're here. It's not for us to do and accomplish anything. It's for us to, it's the self-realizing. It's like we
Mhm.
come here with amnesia.
Oh, we have to turn on the light. Okay, who's in there? Let's wake up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really like that you brought up the piece about that quantum aspect of ourselves, Melissa, because I was wanted to ask you too about what your thoughts are about like the timeline of trauma. Because I feel like there's this old kind of like paradigm where the only way that we can get to where we are now is through this life of suffering. That was like the old yoga philosophy. And I feel like we're moving into this new paradigm of shifting that code where we don't have to be, we're not meant to be on the planet to suffer. And that's tying into what you were just saying about being happy. We have to have the contrast to know what the happiness level is. If we were happy 24 hours a day, it'd be great, but we would never know what if we're happy or not. But when we're talking about that piece of really recognizing where we are in that code or that trauma piece, do you feel like we like have to move through the trauma to get through to be a new layer of ourselves? Are we moving now at a much more quicker pace where we
Yeah.
can move through the trauma like way faster and doesn't have to be like this years of suffering? And what are your thoughts about all of that?
Yeah. I think this is a triggering, it's probably going to be a triggering answer for some, because we do come from this old school thought of thinking that we even have to do the somatic work and the this work and the that work and the trauma work and the brain work. And at a certain point, you just have to decide. You have to decide to be happy. You have to decide to let it go. You have to decide. And this is why I brought up the quantum being and the quantum self and the quantum
Mm,
aspect, because that's actually what that aspect taught me. It taught me how to let go of probably trauma that didn't even belong to me. I remember one time in meditation, I was feeling this feeling of being unlovable. And I was like, what is this? Like, I actually don't believe this to be true for myself. I'm very lovable. Everybody likes me. I'm well liked. I don't have this problem, but my parent does. One of my
mm.
parents does. And there was this moment where I was just like sobbing and I just felt so unlovable and I felt rejected. And I'm like, what the F is this? What in the world is this? Why is this thing it keeps coming up? And I realized through this deep meditation that it was my mom's and
Mm.
her mom's. And in that moment, I started to talk to this aspect of myself and I started to reparent this part of myself. And in seconds, this energy, it's almost like it lifted, it took its claws off of me, and I felt this whole release.
Mm.
And it's not to say that that you won't experience these emotions again, but it just becomes less and less every time, because that is the trajectory of just healing. It's healing. And so when I say this is going to be a triggering answer, it's because I truly believe that you don't have to go through years and years of trauma work. I do believe that moving the body is really good. I do believe that working with psychotherapy techniques are really good. But the thing that I have actually found the most relief, and this is not spiritually bypassing, because this is also really important for me to share. I work with difficult emotions. Someone
Mm.
who is spiritually bypassing, they don't want to touch their emotions. They're pushing
Right.
them down and they're skipping over them. That's not what I'm
Mm.
telling you to do. I'm telling you to look at the emotion, meet it, say hi to it. But at a certain point, also tell yourself, okay, you know what? After this point, I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to choose to move on. And that gets to be part of the healing journey. You said this interesting part about telling our story and how healing that was and is. That's how I started my I Am Melissa Ruiz page.
Mm.
I was just telling people all of the things that I was moving through and how healing it was to just even share it on an Instagram post. I had 200 or 300 people following me. Nobody knew me, but something kept happening. The more I shared, the more I healed. The more vulnerable I got, the more aspects of myself were releasing me from prison. And so I truly believe that we are moving through this healing stage at such a rapid speed, at such a rapid pace, more than I think even people care to admit. And I truly believe that the power of our belief and the power of our mind trumps everything. Yoga is the science of the mind. It's not an asana practice or warrior one. The sages back in the day knew the powerful ability to shape and co-create with the universe by being the master observer and by not paying attention to certain thoughts. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean that you have to pay attention to it. Just because you have a thought that you're sad or that, sometimes our thoughts are so fucking random and they don't mean anything.
It's like something going through the brain.
Yeah. And yet we give it so much attention. Oh, I feel this thing. This must be trauma. It's like, is it trauma or are you just feeling a little off? Because you're a human being and it's Tuesday and you just are having an off day and that just gets
Right.
to be okay. And so it's important for me to share that message because me personally, it had to do a lot with what I was putting in my body, what I was entertaining in terms of toxic thoughts, and a huge, I want to say huge, more than 90% of the things that got me here was my mindset. It was me retraining my brain and retraining my mind to see the silver lining in everything.
Right.
It was me sitting there with all of the difficult parts that were in resistance and not wanting to cooperate and reparent a lot of those parts. And yeah, I think anybody who is listening, who feels like they've been in a hard emotion for a really long time and they've tried everything, it's okay. Continue to meet yourself with compassion. You know, you can do yoga every day, you can meditate 5 hours a day, and you can still be a miserable fuck. That stuff is not going to heal you. You have to decide to want to be well. You have to decide. And I don't think a lot of people have been open to that message in the past.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the paradigm shift we're seeing in healthcare that's happening. I think that the old message is it's like just to suppress whatever you're feeling, suppress whatever your body is experiencing instead of really addressing it. And it's okay to have a specific illness or to have a specific emotion come up, but like you said, we have to acknowledge it, be ready to move through it, make the choice. It's like really, I think the new place with healthcare and just being human is just that empowerment piece of knowing, being like having that piece of you're in charge of you and your destiny. And we lost that piece along the way. Oh, I'm going to go see this person's going to help me, or I'm going to see this person. And that can be helpful. But the empowerment piece is really about what do I really need? What does my body need? What does my mind need? What does my soul need? What does my emotional body need? And like you mentioned earlier, like rest. A lot of us, myself in particular, go every time I have some kind of reading or connect with myself in meditation, rest. Just take a moment, just be, like, oh yeah, okay. What would it be like if I didn't do anything today?
Yeah.
Just relax. Okay, how do I relax? And I think that's a piece that can be really important too, is how do you be with yourself? Do you know yourself? How do you recognize what yourself really needs? And when we're talking about that piece too, how do you, the whole kind of like theme of today is the cosmic badass. So how do you create, what is the cosmic badass, and what is like, how do you know what that vision is of being the cosmic badass, and how do we then follow that dream, follow the vision of like fun and happiness and truth to really set us on that path of like ultimate like joy, which I think we're all kind of, at least me, I'm moving towards that. That's what I want to be. I want to be the path on ultimate joy. And I think people don't always know what that is for them.
The cosmic badass is the path of least resistance. The cosmic badass is the part that's connected to the quantum self and not necessarily the human self, because the human self has limits. The quantum badass self is the part that is connected to limitless potential, because we were born and birthed from the sea of limitless potential, meaning we
Mm.
can do anything and we can have anything. And that's where we get the terms of timeline jumping. People don't understand these timeline jumping aspects because they haven't connected to their quantum self. So how can you explain to regular human about quantum jumping and quantum leaping and living in different realities when they look at their own human existence and they say, no, this, what I see with my eyes, is the only reality. But is it? And that's what the cosmic badass is, the part of us that's connected to the larger part of the universe that knows that there is no bounds and that there are no limits, and that they truly can do anything and everything that they see in their mind's eye. So it's
Mm.
about awakening that Shakti within us. It's about awakening that energy, that life force, that Kundalini energy. That's what the quantum badass is. It's that part of you that doesn't doubt yourself. It's the part of you that is the student to spirit and not the student and a slave to your brain. Once upon a time, I used to be the student and the slave to my brain, meaning
Mm.
everything my brain thought I did. I was like, oh, I have to go here, then I'm going to do that. And so I was led down this path of just a lot of doing and a lot of overworking myself. And then I took a step back and I started to learn to connect to that divine energy within me, the
Mm.
part of me that's connected to my intuition, the part of intuition that doesn't make any sense. So often people will tell me, Melissa, none of this makes sense. You're being unrealistic. Good. I don't want to be realistic. Realistic sucks because it only shows you one part of reality. And I don't want to live that one part of reality because it's limited. I can only do and make a certain amount. But when I connect to this part, this cosmic body energy, this part, you can't tell them nothing because they know that they're part of a bigger plan. I hope that explains that to people. Ways that you connect with that is by turning the gaze inward. The way
Mm.
you connect that is by mindfulness. However, mindfulness lands within you, mindfulness is the place where you can touch awareness. Awareness is vast void. And so this is why meditation works so well, is you lower the thoughts, you lower resistance. You're not absent of thoughts, you're not absent of resistance, but you're just lowering it. And because you lower it, you can hear yourself better. Some people take mindful walks, some people mindfully eat. Whatever you do, whether it's dancing, listening to music, get yourself to a place where you forget about time, where you forget about your to-do list. And in those moments, that's the place where you can start to tap into that quantum part of you, the
Mm.
part of you that didn't come here to do anything. I actually was writing a post today this morning and I was on the beach and I was looking at the sunrise and I said to myself, what am I doing? I'm in the middle of nowhere with all of these strangers. I make friends. I say hi to certain people and then I say goodbye to certain people. And this is happening every other day. And I feel like there's this illusion that we buy into of becoming somebody, but I don't need to become somebody because I'm already everything I've ever wanted. So we've almost been bamboozled into working hard, even on our health, even on our well-being, even in the fact of us buying into that we're sick and that we need more to fix us. I don't
Mhm.
believe that humans are broken. I don't believe that they even need to be healed. And that's a message that, again, not a lot of people are ready to hear because there's still a part of us that holds on to that label, holds on to that trauma, holds on to that identity. And so, as painful as it is sometimes, it's more painful to not know. It's
Mm.
more painful to walk that path of being in the unknown, of saying hi and goodbye to strangers every single day. That part is so scary to certain people. As I think about that parent of mine,
Mm.
in many ways, if you take that away from them, they literally would critically fall apart and I feel would need to be hospitalized because that identity is who they believe they are. So everything comes back to being willing. You don't have to be ready. Nobody's ever ready. Nobody's ready. Nobody's ready to heal. Nobody's ready. You just got to be willing to meet those parts. You have to be willing to want to get better, to want to change the trajectory of your lineage. You have to be willing to do that. And that's not everybody's task. And it's okay. You have to make it your task. When you're ready, and in yoga, we always say this, the student will appear. It's the same thing with healing. When you're ready, baby, you'll seek out teachers. You will find help. You will do it on your own. You'll be ready and you'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I really love that, what you just said there. So, like, in this way, this like loving and peaceful aspect, right? It's like when we're ready, then we can move forward. And when we're in that place of really being aware of that part of us and being aware of that piece that is wanting to change and the identity. And that I think is, out of all, you said so many wonderful things, and that really stuck out in my mind because I work with my patients a lot about changing their health story. Like, what's your story? And is it something that you created? Is it your novel? Or has it been written by someone else? And what do you want your story to be? Do you want it to be from each day? And maybe that can be, like you said, that can be the identity that can crumble around you in this house or this castle that you've built, those walls. And if you have to have a support system to move into that place. But what are you willing? What are you able to? What are those places where you want to move into where your identity is then like resonating like deep in your soul? When you feel it, you're like, wow, this is really me. It's like you want to shout it from the rooftops, right? You like finally found like the magic cape of your superhero and you're wanting to shift. And one thing I wanted to ask you too is when we're talking about that kind of like piece of the pandemic, going back to that, do you think that it really helped shift people into this place of recognizing their true calling and passion? And like they were just like woken up, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? And do you think that people are really making new shifts for their careers, their family? And how can people have a support system, or how can they have the courage, I guess is even a better way, to jump out and recognize that moving into 2023, there's going to be some shifts happening, and how are they going to embrace it fully?
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to answer this because our business took off during the pandemic. And I saw a lot of people's businesses take off. It was like a sink or swim kind of situation. But I want to reference back to what you said, because I think it's really important to share that this is where medicine and spirituality can really benefit from one another. Because when we talk about energy, and Eckhart Tolle explains this really well, there's this like energy that we become possessed by when we start to continuously talk about that health story, right? I'm
Mhm.
depressed. I'm anxious. And I've challenged people, are you really? Yeah, I'm anxious. How do you know you're anxious? Because this is what happens and this is my symptom. Okay, but beyond that, like that doesn't really sound like you're anxious. And just like really able to just challenge them. Is this a story that you're just used to telling because you're just used to telling it? Is
Mm.
this really who you are? And also, how do you shape that? And again, when we think about the quantum field and when we talk about energy, we see that this toxic thought, it's almost like an entity. It overtakes the brain and almost feels, quote unquote, what Eckhart Tolle says, it's a possession of the mind. Right? When
Mm.
you're angry, you're freaking possessed, right? And you feel it too. You're like, ever fought with your partner? I could tell when I become possessed because I'm like, who was that? Like,
Who said that?
who was that version of me who was so angry and just saying those things? And then you go back to your natural state and then you apologize. And it is this possession. And again, I just really wanted to highlight that this is where spirituality and so many energetic quantum field practitioners and modern medicine can really all learn from each other, because we are at a pivotal point in our earthly experience where it's not just one or the other. It's an
Mm.
and conversation. My arm was missing. I wouldn't want a quantum healer. I would want a doctor. Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but if my heart is hurting, I would probably go to a healer. And so all of the parts are important. And so back to your question, the pandemic really taught us, and it really shined a light on our desires. And it really forced us to ask deep questions that we had been avoiding. Are we in the right partnership? Is
Mm.
this job making us happy? And the biggest question is, what does the quality of our life look like? And does that make sense? Like right now, I'm in a bikini on the side of a beach. And that all came from that inquiry myself of feeling like, you know what? I'm going to go all in my business. Why? One, because I deserve abundance. I deserve to live a life where I can swipe my card and not have to check my balance. I deserve to be able to work wherever I want in the world, because me sharing my gifts and my purpose and my dharma have become my livelihood and in the ways that I move. And that is more than enough. That's so important
Mhm.
for us to share that message. We
Mhm.
always feel like we have to do something else, or like a certain title
Right.
is the ultimate title. But I have clients who are doctors who have shifted out of being a doctor and are now full-time entrepreneurs or influencers or writers, authors, because they themselves have seen, oh wait, like I'm not sure if this is all that it's cut out to be. I'm not sure that this is all of me. And it's not to say
Mm.
that one thing is bad and the other thing is good. I can channel parts of me being a TV producer for 13 years, and I was so proud. I was so
Mhm.
proud to be a TV producer. I was so proud to see my shows on TV, to wait to see my little name on the screen at the end of the show and take a picture of it and show it to my family. Like I was so proud of those aspects of
Mm.
myself. But what we're asking humans right now is to just look beyond those titles as well and start to get curious on, who else are we?
Right.
Beyond just that, we
Mm.
are such a multitude and multidimensional beings. And you've been multiple beings too, not just in life. We have past lives. Our
Mhm.
physical body disintegrates, but our soul doesn't. A good question to ask yourself. And a student posed this to me and said, where were we before we came to Earth? And that's a good question. And in my mind, I'm like, we were in the quantum field, right?
Right.
So was I born when I came into this body, or did I exist before? And so the pandemic, to me, in my mind, although there's so many losses and there's
Yeah.
so much grief that came from it, we have polarity. And it is a universal law that we must all adhere to. In
Mm.
dimension wall, in the law of one, everything is one thing, one being.
Right.
We exist in one place. And dimension two, in the law of polarity, everything splits and you have contrast. And it has to be that way, because Abraham Hicks says, when you know what you
Mhm.
don't want, you know what you do. And
That's
then
right.
we 3D world. And it's good because we add another component. And now again, the self is trying to learn more about itself through experiencing. Explains this so well. And so I'll just share what they shared. And he said, it's like going to your favorite library and reading every single book and knowing it like the back of your hand. And one day saying to yourself, man, I want to go inside of that book. I want to
Mhm.
experience the hero's journey. I don't want to just read about it. Like I can feel into it and I can get some parts of it. But it's just like going to Bali. I can explain it to you all I want, but until you go to Bali, you won't know. And so that's what this 3D experience is teaching us. And so we have to have these experiences. And COVID catapulted our business. There were so many people that wanted to work with us because they were ready. They were ready to put their two pennies together and rub those coins and see what's on the other side. They want to continue to play it safe. And actually, what's safe about working for somebody where it doesn't make any sense? I have safety. I can tell myself when to work, how to work, what to charge. There's no cap to it. If I want to work more, I have the ability to work more to make more money. If I don't, then I don't. I have the control. I have the ability to connect myself to my own finances where I didn't have that before. And it
Mhm.
kept me in that employee. The last thing I'll say is I also heard this one person say, we've been trained to be really good employees, but they talked about them deploying themselves and unplugging themselves from being this quote unquote good employee. It's no, deploy yourself so that you can become an entrepreneur, so that you can take control over your finances, so that you know what's, oh my God, this message is coming so clearly, but it's so gnarly to me that other people tell us what we cost. Like, how dare somebody else tell me what I'm worth for my time? You
Right.
don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know my skills. You don't know my capability. You don't know my capacity. What, you're judging it based on the school that I went to that's connected to the amount of money that my parents had or didn't have, or the opportunity that was given or not given, or the place that I grew up at. That's so unfair. As an entrepreneur, I get to decide. I get to decide what my time is worth. And
Mhm.
that in itself is fucking power. That,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so true. Yes. And that is like the power of moving like into the cosmic badass, like you talked about for 2023, and really embracing it. And that's one of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur myself is the decision making can be a scary place. Sometimes you're like, but that's what makes it exciting, right? So, ooh, what can I do with this decision? How can I shift it? I'm in control of the, like taking, like you said, time off or working from anywhere. That's what the pandemic really allowed me to see the vision of just doing what I want to do freely, whether it's working at my house or working in Mexico or not working or working with plants outside, and really listening to what my soul needs and what makes me happy, and being able to connect with people in a different way. When I was in my clinic with all these other people, it was great, but it was so boxed in. It's like I created the box, which I think a lot of us do. I was all those pieces. And when we're moving into this 2023 phase, Melissa, what would you say would be like your there's so many things. Top 3 tips for really embracing the cosmic badass. What would you be like? Yes, these are the ones. And I'm sure there's probably like 1,000 tips.
Yeah,
But
there's so many.
yes.
Yeah, the one that sticks out the most is connecting to our intuition. I
Mm,
think there's so much noise all around with this is the right choice and that's the right choice and this is the strategy. And let's just be clear, all strategies work. Everything works because everything's supposed to work. There is no wrong or right choice. And that is illusion. And I think we have not been taught this either as a human race. We are taught that there is a right choice and that there's a wrong choice, and that they're good people and that they're bad people, right? This good and this bad. But I believe that we always land where we're supposed to land. And so, in fact, choosing the right choice is not choosing anything. It's about you making a decision. I told this to my mastermind students the other day, and I said, you know what your biggest flex in life is? You being the person that makes a decision, not the right decision, just a decision. If
mm,
you can make a decision, then you'll keep moving forward. And so that requires us to connect to our intuition. Why is it that not enough people are able to make a decision? Because they don't trust it. So
faltering back and forth.
they're alternating back and forth. So the first thing is to learn how to trust yourself through the practice of mindfulness, through many other practices that allow us to turn the gaze inward so that we can hear ourselves better. It really springs off of the first one, which is stop looking around. I oftentimes see that people are asking for people's opinions, but they're really asking for approval. They're not
Right.
asking for opinions, they're asking for approval. And it comes from this ability to keep looking around. And so, as much as you can, as we move into the next year, promise yourself that you're going to connect to your intuition so that you can become the student of your own spirit. And that's going to come from you not always looking at what everybody else is doing. Because the truth is, what's good for them is not always good for you.
Mm,
Actually, it never is.
right.
Because good for them is being connected to their own intuition. And this is why strategies, especially in business, are so complicated, because the strategy that works is the one that you keep up with. The strategy that works is the one that feels authentic to you. The strategy that works is the one that you actually really believe in, not the one that
Right.
is teaching you to do, not the one that Joe Schmo, who has a big following, is doing.
Mm,
The last thing I will say, and all of this really connects so beautiful, is to do what the hell you want. And know that
Mm.
when you put your mind's eye and all of your focus, all of your intention, all of your love to whatever it is that you want to do that's connected to your highest self, that's the thing that's going to always work. I didn't get here by following people. I didn't follow not one person. In fact, every time somebody told me to go, I went left. I remember I started my business and people told me, in order for you to scale your business to a profitable, blah, blah, blah margin, you have to do free challenges. And after the free challenge, then you can offer your offer. And so I remember I did this twice and never again. I was like, oh my God, this is so much work. I don't ever want to do this free challenge. Nobody freaking signed up. I
You're
don't
like,
know.
why would I want to do that?
Why would I want to do this? So much work. I was writing all these emails, doing this free challenge, and I was so disheartened, but it taught me a lesson. One, that's how I created my first trademark, launching without launching. Two, it reminded me that I know best, that I know best, that I know what's good for me. And I went against that because, oof, this is the last piece. Don't give up your power. I gave up my power because I thought that person knows more. That person is more experienced. Let me follow them. And I went against my inner being, my inner knowing, my inner knowledge. I'm not special, humans. We all have this. You have, everybody has inner knowledge, inner being. Everybody has this because we're two parts. We're human and we're quantum. And so that will be my last piece. And so, yeah, those are the three things.
I love it. Listeners, I hope you got all those because those are great. And what amazing words to have be your words for 2023. I always pick a word that I'm going to like embrace. And one of those might be the one. We'll see what that looks like for me as I'm doing my vision boarding. And Melissa, I know we could talk forever, but I want to wrap things up today. I have one last question, and let's also then find out how people can find you and follow you and all the great things you're doing. One last thing, if you had an unlimited budget right now, what would you do to make the biggest impact on the health and welfare of the planet?
Woo! I would create a 3-day festival.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I would create something on a large scale that had to do with and bring in wellness practitioners as well as doctors, psychotherapists. I have a big love. My wife is a social worker. My sister's a social worker. I work with a lot of therapists and therapy clients. And so I feel like if I wasn't doing the work that I'm doing now, I would have probably wanted to have become a therapist, but I'm doing that in the energetic field. And so I love so many things about gathering and community and bringing people together. I think right now we're going to see more in 2023, people collaborating, more community, more in-person stuff. And one thing that the pandemic did teach us was the discord and the sickness that occurs when people aren't together.
Exactly.
It was bad going to the studios and seeing that there was lines to have people spread apart and people with a mask and all of the things that really disconnected us from being human. We need each other. We need to be in community. That's how we learn. That's how we feel. That's how we grow. That's how we expand. And so if I had an unlimited budget, I would gather together in remembrance of what happens when we gather, when we come together. And I would teach workshops and I would bring in other practitioners that I love. I would move the body, I would run, I would do yoga. It would be a wellness Olympics, I believe.
I love that.
That's what I would do. My goal is never to tell people to follow me. In fact, I don't follow me. I'm just one person with one opinion. I want to empower people to search within themselves for the answers. Because what happens is that we do give up our power to influencers or to people that we think are successful. Not mean anything. That's just another illusion. And so I want to teach people how they can learn to resource themselves and figure out the little bit that I've figured out. I don't know it all. I know one part.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Melissa. Ding, you totally got that one. That one, I can see that one's easy for you to formulate. And I can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be so fun. Tell us how people can find you, where to go to find you, and follow you if they want to. And tell us also, yeah, go for that first. Go ahead.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that, right? About the follow. Follow me on social media.
That's
Follow me
right.
on social media. Yes, at I am Melissa Ruiz. Follow me as a person, it's a different. Those are two different things. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and so I'm always in the DMs, and so if this message and this podcast has landed, you can always ask me a question if anything comes up. Yeah, I'm at my handle. If you are in a season of wanting support and guidance, you can always check out my mentorship programs. I have one that's starting in January 20th. That one's Unleash and Unveil Your Soul Business for the mystical offbeat entrepreneur who wants to merge their spiritual gifts with their livelihood and their business. And then I have the next step up, which is the mastermind. And one is not better than the other, by the way. It's just that one is longer term. So the mastermind longer, it has 2 retreats, and they're at a different financial bracket. And so this is probably somebody who's already been in their business, but they want to retweak their product suite, they want to do something different, they want to come out with a different product, maybe they feel stuck and they want to surpass where they are. And so those are the ways that you can work with me, those are the ways that you can follow me. And you can always check out my website, I am melissaruiz.com. All of my stuff is there as well.
That's awesome, Melissa. And you have a freebie as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the freebie? I'll make sure I put all the stuff in the show notes for listeners. You don't have to remember. It'll all be there for you.
Okay, everybody has to download the freebie. This is
Yeah.
something that I have taken 3 years to create, and it came from a pain point of feeling like, why isn't there an easy way to organize our launches and organize our business? And for an intuitive person who doesn't really like Excel sheets, I had a hard time. I was never able to figure out one that was colorful enough for me, creative enough for me. And so I actually tasked my team to create one for us. And that's how long it took us. It went through many iterations because I am a little bit of a perfectionist. I want to just make sure that when I put something out in the market, that I love it, that I can put 100% my back into it, have it, give it that approval. And yeah, if you're somebody who wants to organize your business, organize your launches, if you want to calculate how much abundance you're going to be creating quarter by quarter and for the entire year, I've made it so easy. All you have to do is a plug and play. You put in your offer, put in your goal, you put in how much one person costs for that offer, and it automatically does all the calculations for you. And
Ooh,
so
sounds like magic.
it is one of my
Yes.
favorite activities.
Love it. Well, that sounds great. And it's a wonderful freebie. I checked it out, of course. And we'll find all of that in the show notes, everybody. And thanks again, Melissa, for joining us today. I loved our conversation and I can't wait to share it with the world.
Me too. Namaste, humans. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa.